And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a game called OMG, which I believe stands for Oh My Gods, the gods of Mount Olympus. The name itself kind of gives off that whole frivolous thing. The art looks good, but the name just, But, hey, maybe the game itself is fun. We can hope, right? The game revolves around a deck of cards. Each player is going to draw 6 cards from that deck of cards. Each card is numbered up to 4, and you'll notice that each card is a different color, it's a different number, and it's a different god. So here I have a red 2 Aphrodite, here I have a blue 4 Poseidon, who also has a special ability, a blue 4 Hera, etc., etc. You're going to turn over 1 card from the top of the deck, and on your turn, you have to play a card from your hand on top of that that is either the same number or the same god. So I look at my hand here, and I have no 1s. I also have no Aries. Now, the color doesn't matter. You can't match the same color. So I have to play something, though. So I'll play this card from my hand. This is a 2, and I look at the difference between the 2 and the 1, and that's 1. So I would draw 1 card. If, for example, I needed to play this card here, let's say I had no 2s, the difference here would be 2, but I would have to draw an extra card because they're also not the same color. This is when color matters, is when you're playing a card that does not match. And that's basically how the game works. So on top of this 4, I could play another 4. On top of Hera, I could play another Hera if I had one, or another 4, so I have one here. And then etc., etc. So on top of her, I could play his because they are the same god. Now there are several different special abilities in the game. You can see here that this one here, choose a color. Discard up to 2 cards with that color. Here, you don't get a penalty when you play this card. So this card can be played anytime, anywhere. Here you reveal the top card of the deck. Choose either its color, number, or god and discard 2 matching cards from your hand. Discard half the cards in your hand, rounding down. Make everyone else draw a card. Copy the last special power that's played. Choose a number, discard up to 2 cards with that number. The penalty that you would get from this card is distributed to other players in any combination you want. Then you draw 1 card. And so the first person to get rid of all the cards in their hand is the winner of the game. Okay, so this game is essentially Uno, right? I mean, if you watch this, then most people in the world have played Uno, so I'm assuming if you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. Uno is a game in which you are placing cards on top of each other with the same color or the same number. In fact, Uno is so permeated into society that many people are going to have a problem here in the sense of that the colors, you don't play a color on top of each other. And so people, every time I play this, people are like, what? I can't put the same color in the same color? No. That only matters when you're doing that penalty. Now the penalty thing sounds interesting in theory, right? I think the biggest penalty you can get is 4 cards. If there's a 1 and you put a 4 on it and it's a different color, so that's a difference of 3 plus 1 is 4. And that will usually happen if you have like only 1 card in your hand to play, or for some reason you want a lot of cards in your hand. So kind of think of this as Uno, but with a smaller range of numbers. Somewhat not intuitive because placing the same god is not as quick to determine as the same color. And then that weird penalty thing with a whole bunch of different special powers. And why does this game exist? I mean, the artwork is very nice and it plays out okay, but I mean, seriously, I'm not a huge fan of Uno, but there's like 7 different variations of Uno. I'm not a huge fan of Uno, but I don't see that this game offers anything better than Uno. Who's going to want to play this? I mean, people who type this into their phone all the time? OMG. I mean, or is it people who thought Uno and they want like another game like it? This is one of those games that I don't even know that needs to exist. For me, not very fun. I mean, just sitting there placing a card on someone else and playing a special card, ho ho ho, everyone take a card. I mean, there's a couple fun little things maybe. I'm not saying the game is like a chore to get through, because at least it is a fairly quick game. It's just the whole time you're playing it, it just feels pointless. It's a nice packaging. It looks good, but you're simply just playing a card from your hand on top of other cards. And I stopped doing that at Uno, and why do I want to do it again? Dice Tower Judgment, just play Uno.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!